Hello, friends. Happy Team Talk Tuesday. I'm super excited to hang out with you guys tonight. I again am Karen and Steve Fettis because we just wanted to make it easy for you guys to have the same link every single week. So on the weeks that I'm hosting, I'm just going to log into this account. And of course, I can't figure out how to change my name. And if I did figure it out, I'd probably not figure out how to change it back to her name. So I'm just going to be like Steve Fettis for the night. It'll be fun. Tell me in the chat if you have earned that blue and white mushroom warmer if you attended World Tour. So if you attended World Tour and you hosted 5 parties, you still have until the end of the month. But if you open and close 5 parties by the end of the month between World Tour and the end of this month, you get the mushroom warmer. 5 parties this week, Lauren. I love it. I love it. That warmer is so cute. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few announcements tonight. I'm super excited for our guest speaker. I'll introduce her here in just a minute. I was going to look like I have all these pieces of paper, all these notes going, but does everybody have something printed or a notebook where you're logging your blackout bingo? I know last week we said everybody's going for blackout bingo. Don't just go for like one line, up, down, whichever way you're going for we're all agreed that we're going for blackout bingo. So did you all print something? Yeah. Okay. I have one in one of these piles of paper here. So we had the Harry Potter stuff. We had Snow White launch. Tell me in the chat, how many did you sell? How many Harry Potter anything or Snow White anything were you able to sell so far this week? We still have that super cute $35 join special. So hopefully you're taking a look at the people who purchased from you from the last catalog and letting them know about this join special, about the new catalog. They could launch their own Scentsy account with a brand new product line, brand new catalog, brand new scents. You guys were crushing the Harry Potter, some Snow White in there. All right. And then I saved the best announcement for last. SFR registration is open. Yeah, tell me, did you register? I not only want to know if you registered, I want to know in the chat if you've ever been to SFR. So tell me you registered. Tell us, I've been to SFR. But then, think about it and drop in the chat your favorite thing about SFR. One of your favorite things. I'm sure there's a lot, but something that somebody else might not even know exists at SFR, right? Because there's probably some people in here who have never attended. Tell us in the chat if it's going to be your first time attending SFR. We're going to Minneapolis. We'll be going in July. There's a payment plan, and I always take the payment plan. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, if there's a payment plan, I always just take the payment plan. I've been going for 12 years. I always room with 3 other people. My anxiety tells me, no, don't you dare room with 3 people. But then whenever I get there, I'm completely fine. Anxiety doesn't care. And I'm hardly in that hotel room anyway. So book a room with 3 people to save yourself some money. Take the payment plan. Get some snacks, make it work. I know everybody is super busy. A lot of people have pets, kids, families to take care of, and it can be super hard. But talk to a friend and figure out how they make it work for them. Yep, you can do the online option as well. You can register for the virtual. I'm loving that you guys all registered. Okay, I want to respect our guest speaker's time. I could go on and on, but tonight we're going to hear from my friend, Lauren Zimmerman. She has been a consultant since, and I was lucky enough to join, and she was already a consultant in my group. And I can't remember my Scentsy journey like before knowing Lauren. And Lauren to me has always had this amazing, consistent, high PRV. Okay. And then at World Tour, just a couple weeks ago for us here in Orlando, Florida. Well, I'm not in Orlando, but actually, it wasn't in Orlando this year. It was in
It's in
Bradenton.
Bradenton.
Yeah, I'm just so used to saying Orlando. It was in Florida, and she was one of the speakers at our world tour in Florida. And we went to this huge dinner, and all the people were like raving about how she was the best speaker. So I was like, okay, we have to have her come and talk because hardly anybody on the Zoom was in Orlando. So, um, she's going to be talking about sponsoring. My eye is starting to water. Forgive me. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and teach us what you've been up to.
All right. Well, thank you. Hopefully I can live up to that really nice introduction that Jessica gave me. She posted a picture of when you went to Greece and I was like, "Oh, baby Jessica," like when we first started Sensi. So last week, I've been with Sensi for 15 years. So the way I always equate it is I think about like my kids because they were 4 and 6 when I started, and one is going to be 22 tomorrow and 19. So it's been a really long time. But yeah, so I've been with Sensi for 15 years. My husband Todd and I will be married for 25 years in November. We met in Las Vegas. We got married in Key West. That wasn't like a consecutive thing. There was 2 years in between, but we met at a wedding. My husband likes to, have a little creative license with the story of how we met in Vegas. So it doesn't always come out to be the exact way. Our kids are in college. And as a family, we love to travel. So Sensi's the one that gave me my love of travel. I did not have a passport before Sensi. And I also really didn't have the mindset that I could travel to all these amazing places. So my family and I, we love like a quick city weekend tour. Our two favorite trips was our daughter studied at the FSU campus in Florence, and we went at the end, even my 80-year-old father-in-law, and we traveled through Italy. So that was amazing. And then we're from Florida, so we did a trip to Breckenridge that had always been on like my dream board to take my kids to like a really great snow trip, and it didn't disappoint. So and lately, like my husband and I were in this kind of like DIY era because we're just like improving and doing things to our 22-year-old like Florida builder grade suburbia home. So that's what we do. I love football. I like to work out. I like cooking. So all of those things, maybe we can connect on another level than fragrance. So like Jessica said, I've always been a person who has um, been able to have high PRV. If I have a Scentsy talent, I would probably say that it's connecting customers to products that they need or want. I just think I pay attention a lot, and I know when I see something, people just come into my mind and I think of them and I connect them with that product. And then even taking it further to like a wider audience, people that I don't know, I think I'm good at just pointing out the benefits of why they need it. Because whenever you get into that need, like that's a pain point, you're going to create customers who are going to be really excited to get their product where you're going to be helping them solve some type of little pain or issue that they have. So tonight we're going to dive into some things about recruiting, sponsoring, whatever, team building, whatever words you want to use, getting your mindset ready for growth because that's actually the biggest thing, overcoming objections. And I've even got like a tip for consultants who have been around for a while. Maybe you were hearing some of the things that I was hearing when I got into a pretty big slump with team building in my business. And then how to get a pipeline of prospects, which I think is so important. And that's one of the things that I feel most of our that not most, but I feel it's an issue that I hear that comes up with coaching different consultants. All right, so we are still in the first quarter of 2025. And how about you guys drop an emoji for me if you've already, like, you set a goal for recruiting and you've already downed it, or you're saying, I don't know if that's really for me. This year, these goals are not going to work out the way that I thought because we all know at the beginning of the year we're all excited and we set these goals. But go ahead and do that for me. And then I'm sure there's some of you who have already said, all right, I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm not even going to really think about recruiting because it's just not happening for me. And I've definitely been there before in my whole Scentsy career. But I don't want you to do that. Don't ghost yourself on the things that are important in your business. You set that goal for a reason and you deserve to try to go for that goal. We're going to talk about your mindset, and it's really the most important part of this because many of you are asking and you don't even believe enough in the opportunity, and it's coming across that way. So you cannot just be like really shy about it. Maybe, I don't know, like, would you want to do this with me? And you've got to change that because if you're not confident in yourself and what you're offering, they're definitely going to know. And most of you have a love of the products. Like we even saw our world tour. I think they did ask why people joined, or I've been somewhere where they asked. And I mean, the majority of the hands is because you love the products. And I want you to take that passion and confidence that you have into the products into yourself and into this business opportunity because this business opportunity is amazing. When I first joined 15 years ago, I was kind of hoping that this could turn into something for me. But I literally joined because I thought, all right, I'm going to spend money on this. And I told my sister-in-law about it and my mother-in-law about it. And I was like, all right, I might as well get a discount, on this product. But then I started telling even more people about it. And I was so excited. And I'm like, okay, maybe this could turn into something for me because I was a stay-at-home mom. I did need money, but at first I didn't really believe that I could be someone who could maybe be successful in this type of business. And I kind of just went with it. But I was really running off the adrenaline of how much I loved the products and how cool this was that I could make my house smell good and I didn't have to worry about an open flame around my kids. So that's what really sold me on Scentsy. And so Scensy's given me so much, and I know it's blessed so many of you, but it really gave me time and money together. I was able to be the type of mom that I wanted to be. I wanted to be able to bring in income, but I wanted to be able to go volunteer at my kids' school, show up and eat lunch with them. I wanted to be able to go on the field trips. And it was just so amazing to me to be able to have that. And I didn't even realize because really, I had a career before I had my kids and I did work in corporate America, but the main thing I wanted to be in life was a mom. But when I started Scentsy, I didn't even realize like how much I kind of needed something just for me too. So it's built so much in my life and given me so many things, learned so many skills, friendships. I never had to miss a sporting event. So those of you that are in your Uber mom era or in your sports era, I've definitely lived that. And I could go to anything that they wanted me to go to. Summer lacrosse tournaments, Friday to Monday cheer competitions, going to Dallas, to Vegas, all of these countless plane flights. And I could do that because Scentsy enabled me to do that. I want you to know something that you need to say to yourself is that you are worthy. I think one of the biggest things that hangs us up with sharing this opportunity is that we don't believe that we're the right sponsor. We don't know enough. Maybe, how am I going to help this person? You are worthy, and someone is going to pick you and connect with you just because of who you are. And you don't have to be like someone else. You have something special to offer. And I want you to remember that the way that you speak to yourself really matters. And that's talking about, our minds. They get to us and we start to say things to ourselves that we believe. It's those quiet times when you're talking to yourself. That is what you really believe. So I want you to really talk to yourself nicely, talk to yourself like you would treat someone else. I feel like a lot of times we're like the worst to ourselves. We say stuff to ourselves that we would never say to anyone else. So stop speaking negative things to yourself and over your life. And change your mindset with sponsoring and recruiting to how can I help you today? Or who can I help today? Who would this business help? And that makes a big difference. I think a lot of times there's this, I'm going to bother them. You're not bothering anyone, offering them something, and you could have something that they're really looking for. All right, so my sponsoring journey with Sensi is, like Jessica said, I've never been someone where sponsoring recruiting comes naturally. I've always had to really work at it. And like I said, sales has always been more of my stronger trait as a Sensi consultant. And I really have to think about adding this into my daily and weekly routine all the time. It has to be top of mind for me to be successful at it. And when I reviewed my year of 2022 going into 2023, I was like, wow, what is going on here? We were still in that hyper growth fun time. And I had recruited 3 people, which is not where I personally wanted to be as a leader, as someone who wanted to grow and build a successful Scentsy business. And I just kept thinking, like, I am becoming like really comfortable in my environment. I am running a reactive business and I am not focusing on the things that I need to focus on that are going to get me further and get me growth. So when you do that, you have to be ready to really hit yourself with some hard things and then reevaluate. But that's what I love about this business is, you know what? I don't need a certain set of skills coming in. We have so many resources and we can take the time to train ourselves to actually become better at the things that we want to improve on. And that's what I did that year. On paper, and if you looked at the past couple years, I was a high performing consultant, definitely in sales. I earned trips, I earned annual awards. I would get to walk the stage at reunion. But digging in, I got too comfortable in my environment. I was being reactive in my business, and that's only going to propel you for so long. So I knew I needed to make some changes, and I definitely knew I needed to dig in and find a way to build and grow. And so I'm still not like a top recruiter, but maybe what you can take away from this is you can look at an area and it might not even be recruiting or sponsoring. Maybe you need more help with sales or with onboarding, any area of your business, and you can make improvements. So in the past 2 years, I went from 3 the 1 year, and then I've added 27 new consultants to my team. So I'm just giving you like some numbers so that you have them. Again, I know I'm not a top recruiter, but you can look at an area of your business and you can focus on it and you can make changes that are going to make a difference. So, what did I do to get to these improvements? So, I literally remember sending that world tour in Orlando. I don't remember, it was at a hotel that year. And I think they had a booking blitz. And I had already decided that year, I have got to book parties. I've got to get back to parties because the years before they were really hectic during that time, from 2020 to like 2022. And I did host parties, but it wasn't as many. I was mainly like servicing my customers and finding some referrals and maybe some new customers that way, but I was not having parties as a focus. And I really like when we start off with parties. There are so many ways, and we won't have time to get into all of them tonight, and how you can meet new people. But I like to get back to that because I feel that it's just something that everyone here can do. Whether you've been in your business the whole time of Sensi for 20 years or you joined this month, it's the simplest way to meet new people and to grow your business. And whenever I am focused on parties in my business, there's an upward trend. There's no denying that parties don't equal your business going in an upward trend. Excuse me. So I got back to that essential practice and kind of what I did at the beginning of, excuse me, of my Scentsy career because I knew I had a certain amount of people when I threw my launch party who purchased, but I'm like, oh my gosh, are these 20 people going to buy from me every month? No, they aren't. So I got focused on booking parties, which is actually kind of funny because when I first started with Scentsy, I was like, I am not doing parties. I am not going to be that girl. But I wanted to make income and I wanted to grow. And that was the simplest way to do it. So if I would have continued where I was at, I would have definitely seen a decline in my sales, even more of a decline in my sponsoring. And I can also tell you that what you're doing, whether you're advertising it or not, your team, and then if you have a bigger group, they are going to know that too. So whether you share it or not, I don't know. It's just this transparency thing. So once you pick it up, you're going to see that your team and group start to pick it up too. And what I love about scent events, parties, whatever you want to call them, we have so many different ways to do them now, is that your hostess is basically saying, I like and trust this person, and they're giving you an endorsement. I like their products. I use them. You should do business with her. So I think that is like such an amazing thing. And when you're focused on doing scent events or parties, you have a pool of prospects coming into your business. There's a nice pipeline. Whereas if you're just always just servicing your customer base that you have, you're not going to get that same traction going on. All right, so how do you find consultants at parties, new team members? So your host is going to be your number one candidate. And it's funny, I've done this for so many years. You guys can let me know. I'm sure that some of you have done it. Trying to see the comments over here. But I have what I call decider parties. Like the hostess does not even know that it is a decider party at all, but it's maybe someone that I've asked before and they have told me no. And I'm like, you know what? I know they're going to have an amazing party. And then when I share the hostess rewards and what they could be making and how well they did and were acting like a consultant, I know that they are going to want to go ahead and start up with Scentsy and start their own account. So your host is your number one person that you should think about that would be your new team member. And you're going to, she's done a lot of the work that's like a consultant. She's invited people to the event. A lot of times, I don't know if you all have ever had this, but they're like doing such a great job, the hostess, and even doing things that I've never even thought about as a consultant. I had a hostess last week and she turned me down for joining, but she literally broke out the testers that I gave her by fragrance category and which one she loved. So eventually she's going to be a part of my Scentsy group, but right now she said no, but that's okay because they changed their mind and things change in their life. So you always want to offer to flip the hostess. And that great event is like evidence of success to them that they're able to do this business. Because a lot of times they think, oh, I'm too busy, or I don't know that I could do it. And when they're involved with you and you use really good hostess coaching and you're telling them the things that you should do, for instance, like I always have a day where I have my hostess because I mainly do online parties. I say share those testers, make your own six pack. But then sometimes they take it that far and you're like, wow. But when you have that good hostess coaching, they think this actually wasn't that bad. I could do something like this. So something that I do with my hostess too, and I've done this from when I started and we really only did in-person parties, but I always write down, even if they're my hostess who's online, I take a picture and I tell them, like, okay, you can get $90 and free because I always offer something special if they get to our new 600 tier, which was our 500 tier before. You can get $90 and free, whatever my special thing was. That's my sweet spot that I want my hostesses to get to. 3 host deals, or you can start an account, put in a picture of that amazing kit and you can get all of that. Plus, you'd make $120 commission. There's something about, I think, like your handwriting and taking a picture and sending it to them that really works and draws them in. So that's my little tip. Even if it's online, you can still do that. Just write it out. I do not have good handwriting anymore. It's like I barely write. So it's a struggle, but just write it out and send it over to them. Um, and then sometimes the party is going so well. I've planted the seed early on in the event. And I tell them, like, you are doing so good. I had one this fall that was getting close to 1,000. And she's like, no. And then I saw that she posted that she was looking for people to help her for fundraisers for her son's robotics club. So she's local to me. And I let her know that she could use Scentsy as a fundraiser in her business and she could give back. If she didn't want to, I would be happy to run a fundraiser for them. And it just kept going up. And then I kept sharing with her, you could make this. And she went ahead and the party was flipped. So especially when they hit that 500 or 1,000, it's really a great thing. So how do you ask them? You just want to keep it short and sweet. I can talk too much. So I literally just tell them you would be good at this and then you stop. So you just say, oh my gosh, Jen, you've done such a great job at following up with your guests, and I can see your enthusiasm for the products. What are your thoughts on opening up your own Scentsy account? And then that's it. Don't say anymore. Just let them answer it. And I do not use yes or no questions because I can tell you when I use yes or no questions, their answer is no. I just think it is human nature. Like, oh, you're trying to get me into something. Like, am I going to be joining a gym and I can't get out of the membership? So I don't do yes or no. Works for some people. It does not work for me. I think human nature is like, I'm not going to answer yes to that. So we went over the reasons why your hosts do make such great people to ask. Um, and don't ever be afraid. Like newer consultants can be afraid, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss out on the PRV. But I want you to think like, I have an abundance of customers. I have an abundance of people that I can continue growing with this business. And I am definitely going to get further and earn more by having this person or join my team or start an account. I like to use start an account a lot. And this is the reason for this is I've seen it so many times is that they will come in and it can even be a customer that you've had for a couple of years. And I had one who was like this. And one of her sisters was always, I'm going to do an event. And I did all the right things, like text her, like, how does this date work? Never would do it. And then once their person joined, they're going to do the event or they're going to promote them more because they're close to them. So you're going to gain so much more by them joining your team. So don't live in that life of like, oh, I'm scared in the scarcity mode, what I call it. You're going to gain so much more. All right. And you're definitely going to benefit from those sales and further on because they're probably going to continue to grow their team too. During the event, your hostess might not want to join, but you also want to be observant, like I mentioned before, and be on the lookout for guests who are enthusiastic, who know a lot about Scentsy, and you're going to keep track of them through, and then you're going to ask them to start their own account. And I've had this in parties, and I'm sure you guys have too, where you're like, wow, they know so much about Scentsy. They're like giving tips out. I've had this in person and online. They're giving tips out on how to actually use the product. So you just ask them again, you would make a great rep. You gave Sue such a great tip on knowing that the dish of our warmer tells you how many cubes to use. What are your thoughts on starting with Scentsy? And then just stop. Don't get into too many details. No, yes or no. So just do that and give them the reason why you think that they would be great to join, and then just ask them the question and stop. And I think I saw Kimberly was on here. But that March, when I decided I needed parties and I needed to really build out my team, I challenged myself that month to ask one person a day to join. And I can tell you, it was like kind of rusty starting off, but Kimberly put up a post today about that she went to each person and she shared it was specific to them. And that's what I did every day. I told them why they would be good at this and then asked them and stopped. And I think I got to 24 that month and I ended up having two or three joined that month, but I've got to tell, it was at the end of the month and we had a $20 join kit. So if maybe you were rusty like I was, you can do it. Just challenge yourself to do something each day and you're going to get better at it. But the main thing is you want to tell them a specific reason to them. This isn't like a project broadcast, like blast it out to everyone. Tell them why they would make a good rep and then ask them. Just ask the question and don't say too much. All right. So consultants who have been around for a while, I was nonstop hearing, and it's not that I wasn't asking at all in those years leading up to me saying, I've really got to work on this. But I kept hearing when I'd ask people, I am not going to do this because I can't do it like you. So has anyone else ever heard that before? And you can even hear that when you are a year into your business. You can hear it when you're 3 months in. And it's actually a great thing. It means that you're providing excellent customer service and that you're doing all the right things as a consultant. And I went with a little bit of a correction because I do have to say that early on, my strategy with getting people to join my team was parties and flipping, or they became a customer and it was kind of like always the wait to get them to join. Well, that did not work for me. So my correction was I started asking people on the third sale if they wanted to start their own account. That was huge for me. The reason why is because they didn't get too used to me doing everything for them. So, like one of my friends in Scentsy today, she put up her deliveries and she makes these amazing bows and baskets and she wraps the presents up. And I'm actually thinking, wow, I would like to be her Scentsy customer. And no, I do Scentsy in a totally different way and it's fine. But people at times when we do some of those extra things that they love, in their mind, they have a precedent. And even though we share, you don't have to do it the way that I do it. In their mind, they already have that. And they think that's the only way that they can be successful. So asking on the third time was huge for me. And you want to ask people early to join anyways, because it had happened to me where people were asked by someone else and they joined because sometimes they think that you don't want them or you're not accepting people to your team or your organization. So you want to make sure that you ask. So all that I say to them is, hey, I see you're loving Scentsy and I'm looking for new reps to share our products. What are your thoughts on starting with Scentsy? So you want to get them in. I don't like asking them if it's a new customer on their first purchase because I like to get to know them a little bit. And then you're going to go ahead and ask them. And that's worked really well for me. I mean, don't make it weird like their first purchase unless the conversation comes up because I've sent a text to people on their first purchase and we just start chatting and you could get there, but don't just, hey, thanks for your order. What have you thought about sharing Scentsy? I mean, it maybe could work, but I kind of like to lead up to it. That just works better for my personality. And also this past year, I've had a lot of luck with revisiting people who have told me no before. So for me, I'm kind of in that time where people's kids are going to college, they have more time, they're looking for different things. So they maybe told me no, but now they're ready or they've had situations in their life change. So just make sure that you always revisit that too. It's okay to say no. And when people tell you no, how do you react? You just say, that's okay. I'm going to keep you as a great, VIP customer. I always want them to leave feeling good, and I don't twist anyone's arm into starting an account because I want them to want to do this. So you can definitely overcome obstacle or objections that they tell you, but you can also just say that's all right, I understand, and then you're going to move on. But that's why it's important to have that pipeline of prospects and figure a way that you're going to be funneling that into your business. And that moves us into meeting enough people. And that's really the thing. It's not even the asking that's tripping up most. It is having a pipeline of prospects. And for most people, for a lot of consultants, it's kind of dry. And if you were to go ahead and put your just 25 customers into a room or a box per se, you would not have 25 active customers at the end of the year. I kind of shared that with my own business. If I was going to continue on that same path, I was not going to see the results. So we have to, constantly replace our customer group, our consultant group. It's just all the things that we have to do. And we had a time in 2020, 2021 where it was definitely a heads down time and we were at home and we went out in mass and we weren't really interacting with people. And double that with me, it was a time where my children were coming of age. So I was not with them as much, and that was a way that I definitely met people out. So I think we all, or a lot of us, just need to get back to meeting people in public and looking at people, saying hello, smiling. We don't instantly go into, hey, I'm a Scentsy rep. Just start getting back into conversations, and it's going to come up naturally that you're with Scentsy, and that's going to help you meet more people. Talking more is going to help you to ask more people. So we got to get back to meeting people in real life and put our head up instead of heads down and smile and just talk to people and start conversations. All right, objections and how to overcome them. Like I said, I'm not going to twist someone's arm to join because I don't want them to feel like I didn't really want to do that. And then when we're trying to talk about goals and what they want to do, they're just not really into it. But that does not mean that everyone who has an objection that they should not go ahead and start an account. So it's our job to be able to respond to that. And basically, one that we hear all the time is, I'm so busy. That's why the decider party is kind of cool because they can see I could do this. You helped me, and it really wasn't that bad. So a lot of times they'll just say, I'm so busy. But what that really means is that they're just stretched in an area of their life and they can't imagine how Scentsy is going to fit it in. And a lot of times it has to do with like kids and sports, and they have a really fast-paced schedule. And you can just share with them that they love the products, and being busy means that they're going to come in contact with a lot of people, which is true. And I can tell you, I used to drive so much taking my kids to sports. I drove my daughter, it was 70 miles round trip 4 times a week. It was crazy. I lived in that car and spent a lot of time at a cheer gym or somewhere near her cheer gym. But what I loved was that I could work Scentsy on the go, and people can do that. And especially if someone mentions sports and being too busy, all of these sports are expensive, and Scentsy can be a way to help them. So you could let them know not only could they gain sales with that, but they could do fundraisers for their teams, for their competitive tournaments, and also help out all the parents on the team. And you're going to show them a way to do that where, yes, they're going to be donating, but they're still going to be able to earn money on that. And I'm even hearing now, because I'm kind of in that weird, like I know moms, but I also know like a lot of grandmas too. Like grandmas are busy too. So you can show them how you can do this. And because a lot of grandmothers are really involved in the grandkids' lives. So once you get your new team members, you're going to want to help launch them to success. And this is actually so much fun to help your new team members and see their enthusiasm and help them earn these first awards. The biggest thing I can tell you is do not be afraid to pick up the phone with your team members and have a talk with them on what their goals are, because that's going to help you launch their business. I have had more in-phone conversations this year than I've had in a really long time. So they're okay with actually picking up the phone. And you want to align their launch and running their business with their goals. And I just think you can get that a lot better if you're actually on the phone with them. So that really helps. You want to meet them where they're at, but show them the possibilities of what Scentsy can bring into them. And I really like to focus on the shooting star, and that's going to set them up really well for their first promotion and then the most fun thing, which is the shooting star, because they're going to get product credit for Scentsy. So the more that you just make it seem light and like, let's just go ahead and do this, and it's really fun, they're going to want to hop in with their business and do that. And then I've got one more little tip for you tonight. This is a very passive thing, but it's worked for one of my friends. She's actually gained a couple of new team members for this. So she put up on her PWS an order that says, order here to join at no cost. So when people are clicking on your website, if they order there, then you're going to approach them and ask them to join. So that's my last little tip. Again, that's passive, but hey, we might as well try it because you never know. Someone might order under that and you might gain a new team member from it.
That is a great idea. I've tried that before, but then I don't know. I took it off. I had so many shopping links. So I have to count though. So obviously you're talking about sponsoring and you did mention in there like it's the worst whenever somebody else asks one of your customers or one of your
Yes.
hosts to join, and the next thing you know, you're looking online and you're like, "What? She's a Scentsy consultant, and she's been my customer, or she's purchased from me before." At our world tour, I don't know if you noticed
Hmm.
it, but some girl that I do not know came over. I can't remember exact logistics, but she came over and said to another consultant that's on my team, like in front of everybody, like, oh, Donna, was it you or Barb or somebody? I don't know. They came over, they were like, she joined, and
Yep.
because I never asked her to, she ended up joining somebody else's team. And it was just like, has that ever happened to anybody in here where somebody who's purchased from you or you're hosted for you and you never asked them to join and then they joined somebody else?
Hey Jess,
Yeah.
I have one that's kind of funny. And she just ordered from me today. So I had a customer, or I still have a customer. And then one day, she's a real good customer, ordering every month. And then, by the way, hi Lauren, thank you so much for that. It was so good. It's good to see your face.
You
Um,
too.
Thank you. She one day I seen on her Facebook that she had joined Pink Zebra, you guys. And I was like, oh, kicking myself. I'm like, Kim, you missed that. You missed that, So instead of being like upset or anything, I sent her a scent circle and I was like, congratulations on your new journey. Um, if it doesn't work out, there's always room at our table. And she was like, she messaged me after she got it, and she's like, "Girl, I'm still going to be ordering Scentsy from you," and she still does. Like every other month, she orders Scentsy from me. So, I was going to actually gave me an idea for a post, but it was like just a good way to remember that. Just remember, not everybody has the same intent you do. Whenever you join, or they may want to join for a different reason. I mean, here she has been a customer of mine, joined Pink Zebra, and I think it's because she can put things in her boutique that she has, but she still orders for me too. So yeah, maybe one day, but anyway.
Yeah, it's a
And
good.
yeah, and I've had it too where they've joined something else. And I thought, oh, they were looking for something and I didn't ask. And here they were looking for a business. And then this year I've kind of started to think, all right, I'm going to get really bold. And I've started thinking about people who kind of already run their own businesses and how I would really like to have them join my team. Just we need to get out of that mindset of like, oh, they're too busy or they're too much of a professional because they could be looking for additional revenue streams as well. So we've got to ask everyone. So I'm focused on like some of my realtors that I've worked with. And they all are really busy, but they could do this too. I have a couple of attorneys too. So you never know. Like we just have to ask. It doesn't mean because they're a professional and they have a lot going on that they're not going to want to add additional revenue stream. And especially with Scentsy, like we're the best home fragrance. And the thing that sold me about it at my launch party was the consumable products part of it. And I saw how quickly people reordered. So that's the beauty of our business.
Yeah. I love that. Crystal, I see that you have a question. You can absolutely ask Lauren a question if you'd like. Um, and while you're typing your question, I was going to ask one really quickly. So I don't know if you guys caught it, but she said that she gave herself a challenge where she asked someone to join every single day. And you talked in the beginning about you were asking your hosts and you were asking the guests of the host in the
Hmm.
party. So I would be willing to bet like you didn't have 30 hosts. So was
No.
it just, how did you decide in that 30-day challenge, besides your host, who you were going to ask?
All right, so I did mean to mention that, but I went back and I kind of just looked over the last 3 months, like what had been going on in my business. And sometimes we're just busy and we just responded. So maybe there was a customer who sent me a picture of their order. I remember one specifically. She sent me a picture of her fragrance flowers and said, "Oh my gosh, I love these." So I think she was one of the first ones that I asked. And I just said, "Hey, you love the fragrance flowers. You were so enthusiastic that you shared a picture with me. What do you think about starting an account with Scentsy and sharing it?" And she did not say yes, but that's okay. I started just connecting customers to why I thought they should join. And that's such an important part, I feel, is getting the connection that's going to work for them and mentioning that. So I really just sat and looked through my phone. I paid attention on social to certain, clues that could cue me in. Maybe someone mentioned that they were looking for extra income and those are obvious at times. I don't go after people I don't really know with that, someone I have a relationship with. I would share with them, or they're talking about, if you see people are talking about the price of this or the price of that, right? We've had a lot of that over the past 4 or 5 years. You can definitely share with them someone who's doing a lot of fundraising for sports, or maybe says, "I'm going to start driving like Uber Eats or DoorDash during a practice time to earn extra money." So I really just went through my phone, I went through orders, and I just reached out to people. And I'll admit, even though I'd been around for a long time, you kind of think, "Oh my gosh, am I going to get someone? Am I still good at this? Can I, and you just have to keep going and then you get better at it." And now the no's don't, because it's more of a focus. And I do have to think, I have to really think about it because it's just not innate in me to go that route. It's becoming more that way. But you just have to really just keep asking. And you don't want to be the person at World Tour that's like, "Oh, I see them here and they're with someone else and they were my great customer."
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you've been a consultant for a long time, your tip on getting the new customers will absolutely be what changes your list of people that you could reach out to and ask if they were interested in having a Cincy account. Thank you so much, Lauren. We might have a couple more questions, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. We appreciate you so much, and this was absolutely amazing.